Do you think Summer House handled those episodes well, like having watched them?
Absolutely. But again, it's not an pun intended, it's not an apples to apples comparison because
Right.
of that different emotional tactic. And we won't even get into the generational stuff, but just sticking with the emotional components. That's what I saw that was very different. And if you notice, the audience celebrated, and I was right there clapping along with them, David. This is a beautiful moment of highlight. That whole episode was really peaked in race, and nobody was throwing a tantrum about it. In fact, people were celebrating everybody from production to executives to the castmates. The problem with RHONY wasn't when we had episodes that centered around race. It was the way in which the, dominant veteran cast members who the audience are in primary relationships with, which is normal, seeing them be so hostile and uncomfortable and unable to cope, And so if your primary anchor to the show, which are the OGs, if they can't cope, you're not going to be able to cope with a brand new person you just met 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
That makes
I
sense.
never thought about it from the emotional crying ever.
Oh,
But
I think
it makes sense.
Oh,
now.
David, let me tell you what else I'll bet my law degree on. If I had gone to Luann after the angry comment, and I'd come hat in hand, and I'd sat there in Ramona's living room, and I'd said, Ramona, Luann, I'm so sorry that I made you upset in your home, Lou. But I'm just so tired of being the only black woman and having to bear the burdens of blackness. Can you please accept that apology and understand where I'm coming from? I just want to be a part of you guys. Please. I think it would have been met differently.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm laughing, but it's true.
Yeah. And you'll all be waiting for a very cold day in an icy, icy hell for that to ever happen, because that's just not in me. But what I can do, and what I think I actually still, watching it back, did extremely well, is make the space for that negotiation.
Right. And do you think, I mean, some of it has to do with the age difference? I mean,
Some, sure. Yeah, I mean, let's not forget in this nation, David. I mean, what are we, with 2022? 2 weeks ago, we finally had a federal anti-lynching statute passed?
Yeah.
Like, that's real life. I think that the election of Obama and some other kind of virtue signaling things have really confused our beautiful, beloved nation as to progress we've made on racial hierarchy and social order in ways that just have not evolved. Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
too.
And that's not even a critique. That's just an observation.
I agree with that. I agree with all of that. And I do agree that whoever's back or not back or fired, the Jenny situation is not because of the people.
It's not because of the people, baby. So y'all can, some of the folks, and I know, especially folks that love and listen to your show, which is why I love doing your show, because it's a little bit going into the lion's den, just a touch. And I enjoy the lion's den, which is why I was at Fox for so long.
At least you know you're coming into the lion's den. Some people don't know they're coming in.
Oh, well, I feel very bad for them.
It's not like I'm trying to hide that.
No, you don't. I mean, those people haven't listened to the show, and I have no pity for them, because if you don't prepare, you prepare to fail, right?
Kind of.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I enjoy your audience. I enjoy their feedback, as hostile and critical as sometimes it is. And it's not all like that. Some of the people really love, when I come on here and engage with an audience. Listen, I could easily just always do, podcasts that are here for, Black liberation. I don't know that always moves the needle, in the way that my particular work is designed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel, not just even with you, a lot of times this audience will tell me, like, oh, I like that person. Not just, not that that's the goal, but
no,
sometimes...
not that that's the goal, but just to open up the dialogue. So if people hear this conversation we're having right now, David, and they at least ponder, like your face kind of ponder, I don't know if I agree with that, but that's an interesting proposition. Our work here was good.
I actually agree with it. I just never thought of this whole... emotional approach versus non, and now that you relate that to these Summer House episodes, I'm like, wow.
Only because I have done that approach earlier in my days. I have been on the cheerleading squad. I have been in the pageant circuit, where it is this desperate plea. I'm just too old for it now.
Also, I mean, there's something about lawyers because I'm not. You'll never. It's not in me. Like
not
you'll
in you.
never
Yeah.
see me saying like, "I'm so sorry,"
Yeah.
and if you just accept me into your other or whatever
Right,
mask,
right.
that will never be me.
Exactly.
It's
Like
more
I
like
can't wait to be a toxic male. Please help let me in. No.
Right.
It's never gonna happen, boo boo.
I don't even know if I could have the rational conversation. I'm more just like fuck this and fuck that.
Yeah.
And,
So I'm not there yet, but give me a few years. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
that's usually
actually-
where I am.
I
And I'm like,
actually-
let me just tell you how this is gonna go down.
Can I make one last
people.
point before we move on? Because we
Yes.
could be here all night. But I think that's actually why I was cast. For those who are very confused still, it's like, why would Bravo bring this particular black woman on who's clearly so conscious and all these things? It's because I'm not at that place of, oh, Ramona, you don't get it, fuck you. Oh, Lou, you don't know not to call a black woman angry, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not there.
Right.
I actually still have that temperament to sit down and have the conversation, allow for back and forth, and even allow for like the space for processing. You know, you don't even have to get it right away, you know, and that I think is a little bit unique.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Mhm.
I do think when RHONY comes back, it is going to be like a diverse cast now, I would think.
I think so. And I think, you know, not to say race will never come back up on RHONY, and certainly not to say that like I've been chastised to the point where I'll never be the one to bring it up if it needs to be brought up, because I'm always going to do what needs to be done. That might be my tagline. But I, more than anybody, want to be able to tell more stories than just, you know, the racial reconciliation of 2020. I want to get into the fun. I have a whole thing I'm building out professionally that I want to like show how the sausage is made, because I think right now a lot of housewives, and I give them kudos and respect for, you know, any businesswoman, but it's like we're seeing the product when it's already like ready for market. Or it's frankly already on a shelf. Remember the good old days of Skinny Girl where there were like, you know, whole episodes about the logo and the branding and kind of like friends offering, like
going to the factory.
Yes, the distillery and stuff. Like, I think that's dope for young women in particular, or young people watching, is, you know, anybody can see, you know, the product when it's already making, you know, millions of dollars. Let's go through the process of building a multi-million-dollar empire.
Right. Speaking of your friend Crystal Kung Minkoff, because you mentioned her, have she spilled any secrets from the filming of? Really?
I got some good old tea.
How's this season gonna be?
Spicy tea, like, and for real, like, this is not, and I love him, but y'all know how Andy every single season is like, this is the best thing you've ever seen. This ain't that. This is, objectively speaking, from what my friend told me, and not in a ooh girl, like in a I'm dealing with some shit way, you know.
Wow.
And like, I didn't see it coming, what she's, you know, and it's her and like maybe I would say 3 of her castmates are in a thing, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I'm like, girl, no. But girl, yes.
You're going to be watching along with the rest of us.
I sure am. Mm-hmm.
How much
I
fun
love Beverly Hills. Yeah.
Is that
yes, I love Beverly Hills. I love Beverly Hills. I love Potomac.